Live on YouTube cropped up.
Preparing stream.
Here we go.
It's saying.
As the countdown is 5 minutes.
Yeah, we are live.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes, so let's.
Where's that countdown?
Yeah, it's countdown.
Oh, I see it. It says live now. Oh, we're live. We're definitely live.
Preparing, yeah, we're live.
Oh,
yeah, there's a 20-second delay, isn't there?
I can't watch that.
It's saying.
As the countdown is 5 minutes.
Yeah, we are live.
I can watch it.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes, so let's.
Cool. So that there is people online already.
Uh-oh. Nice. They can see how professional we are.
Yeah.
Let's just put the speakers off on the YouTube if you guys watch, so it doesn't get echo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. We're getting just a little bit echo. Cool.
Okay. Let's begin.
We are live.
Yeah.
There is people there already. So great. Cool. So let's start. So good evening, everyone. Good night. I don't know where people it is.
Wherever you are in the world.
So do you have your drink, James?
I do have my drink. Well, let's go through it first. What are you drinking, Thiago?
I'm gonna drink a Blood Mary tonight.
Bloody Mary. Ingi, what are you on?
I'm on the whiskey and Diet Coke.
I've gone for a Schneider Weiss.
Oh my God.
Weiss beer.
You get the longest glass, so you're gonna survive long.
You're not gonna run out.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a kind of red stripe just in case.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Cool. So first, we want to say thank to Stash Media to be supporting See No Evil. Supposed to be our 11th anniversary last week.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, coronavirus.
The world had different plans.
Had a bit of plans for us. So now we changing a little bit the format for the next few weeks. We're gonna go live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. like today. Me and James can invite an artist or a studio to come down and have a chat with us, just talk about whatever.
What's going on in the studio and the world and how it all relates.
Yeah, and how to keep everyone kind of motivate and inspiring people. I think on these days. We're gonna do, so the format is gonna be quite informal. It's gonna be a little bit chat with our guest, and then we're gonna pick 3 questions from the guys on interacting with us on the YouTube, so you guys can ask as well. For tonight, can ask Ingi 3 questions. We're gonna pick and ask Ingi in the end of the show. So before we start, I'm gonna play Golden Wolf showreel. Unfortunately, we're having a little technical problem tonight. We don't have sound. Let's see if it works now, but we're gonna play the showreel after, and then we're gonna keep the video on the YouTube. We're gonna link all the whatever we're talking about. There is names or websites. We're gonna put all in the description so you guys can check as well. So I'm gonna play quickly in the showreel Golden Wolf, and after we introduce and start our chat. Give me 1 second. Let's make sure all working.
Oh, we should probably mention our t-shirts were designed by Golden Wolf.
You can go around, James. Yeah. Unfortunately, you guys can't come to the show and win a t-shirt this time. Sorry. We're
saving a fortune.
Yeah, we're gonna sort out a way. Let me share the screen. I think I sorted out share computer sound. Now I know how to do. So we should. Oh my God, it's asking a password. Go. Your microphone has changed. All right. Can you guys hear the sound?
No, no sound.
Oh.
Nah.
Yeah, apologize for that. James, make some sound effect.
The sound's the best part. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
science. Maybe I won't give up the day job.
Yeah. Apologize there, guys. We're gonna sort out that after, but we're gonna have a Golden Wolf link for you guys. Check the awesome work they do, if you don't know already, of course. Your keyboard makes a lot of noise, James.
So someone asked if there was a way of changing the screen so you can see all of us at the same time.
See us? Yeah, I can change that. That's fine.
Yeah, when it zooms in into one person, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so that was the show reel. We're gonna link late for you guys. Let me stop there. We get back here. Okay, now you can see the 3 faces, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. I think they're missing us.
Oh,
sure.
Cool. So before anything, I want to introduce you guys. Ingi is the creative director and one founder of Golden Wolf. I don't know what size you are on the screen. You on that side for me. James is here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Same for me.
Can you get? I don't think I can hear you guys. Say something, James.
I can hear you guys. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I lost.
It's basically going to be 10 minutes of can you hear me? What about now? Okay.
Technical issues for 10 minutes.
So I lost the audio.
There's let's just start with a couple of questions anyway.
Yeah.
So okay. So because of your experience of Golden Wolf and setting things up, if you were to go back to do everything again, like, would you do things differently, or would you kind of keep it how it is?
That's a very good question. I don't know if I would. I mean, I started off in illustration. Like, I didn't start off in animation. I wanted to be a graphic designer or an illustrator, and animation kind of came along later. So I think like what I really benefited from was kind of learning a world or a technique that really wasn't anything to do with what we do now. Meaning that I was able to kind of look at things, from the point of view of an illustrator rather than an animator, which I think has been really, really beneficial to me. I'm sure there's lots of things I would have done differently. I thought about it for longer, but no, I think it's all been really good. Really, we've got a really, really good bunch of guys working together and doing really cool stuff. So I think it's all good.
So if you come from an illustration background, how do you feel like it's affected your kind of like work perspective? Because obviously doing stuff for a still is vastly different to what you would do for animation, just in terms of like, how you think about things, and because obviously you think of quite a longer spectrum. If it's animation, it's not just one frame. It's like, oh, how it interlinks with the next scene.
I think for me, I mean, the best thing for me personally is that because I don't animate myself anymore, I kind of I have the benefit of not knowing how painful something is if I brief someone in with something. So in terms of illustration, like we'll approach something in terms of knowing what we want it to look like, and then we'll worry about how it moves later on. And I think to some degree, had we been done it the other way around, and we started kind of animation first, then maybe we'd be a little bit more worried about how hard things are to do. I mean, obviously, every time we try and go a little bit too ambitious, our animators start sweating.
But it's always better to go, the uncomfortable area. Yeah. I mean, not about you, Thiago, that's a bit weird, but the uncomfortable area is always the best place to be in terms of creativity, because it's where you push yourself. Oh yeah, maybe I can do this, and you just try. You're more compelled to try new things.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think people can also be guilty of it. Just designers can be guilty of designing things too simply for animators. And worrying about whether they're going to offend someone or freak someone out. I think we'd rather just approach it from a point of view.
I'd rather offend somebody.
Yeah, we'll just approach it from a point of view of like, this is the best thing for the project. This is the coolest thing we can make, and then worry about how we make it move later.
Yeah. I think Thiago's having audio issues. Can you hear us, Thiago? Nah. Okay. I think we've lost him. I think he needs to change his settings on audio output or something. Okay. So let's if we keep with current events. So obviously we're all here because of coronavirus, lockdown, and all that side of things. Actually, I guess the first question would be like, how has it affected your business really? Because obviously a lot of the animation industry is based on site. Are you just carrying on, but just more off-site based, like decentralized in a way?
So we kind of, I mean, it was a bit of a weird period before it all happened. So I was over in the States, like just as everything was kind of kicking off.
Yeah.
And I traveled back on like Saturday, I think it was. And I think that was the Saturday before the lockdown, so a week before. And that week I was supposed to be going to Paris for a shoot. And we were hesitant about doing the shoot just because of like, we thought maybe they'd lock Paris or stop us from traveling. And in the end, we kind of postponed it. Very luckily, because they shut down Paris literally like the day we were supposed to shoot. So we probably wouldn't have been to go back. So with that in mind, we decided to just bite the bullet and shut the studio down. Probably about 4 or 5 days before they announced the lockdown in the UK.
So I guess you had a little bit of prep time into kind of brief everybody on what's happening. So it kind of probably makes quite a lot of difference in that regard. Yeah.
So we kind of, I mean, as with probably most people, I was a bit cynical about everything going on, and we've seen similar things happen in the past and nothing come of it. But
it feels so far away. Like when it first started out in China. I mean, we were in China, so it didn't feel far away to me. But anyway, it does feel like it's completely other end of the world. It's never going to get here. But and obviously, because of the amount of people travel, it's inevitable that it does.
Yeah, and it's like it's an invisible virus. You don't really know it's happening until it's happening to you.
Exactly.
We just kind of made the decision that if we waited too long, then maybe they would stop us going outside, and then we wouldn't be able to get our equipment. So about 3 or 4 days before the lockdown, we decided just to go fully work from home. The guys in the US studio had already done it because we share a studio with PsyOp, and they'd already started working from home before that.
Yeah, that's one of the other questions I was going to ask. Because you're a multinational studio now, like how does it affect the workflow with America? But I guess if everyone's remote, it probably hasn't changed too much.
And like in some weird way, it's at least in my head, it's kind of made it easier. I don't think anyone prefers working apart all the time, but in some ways, like the only thing that separates us from the guys in the US now is a time zone. Whereas before it was like, they were in the studio, they would come in and they would have their interactions in the mornings, and we'd have ours. Whereas now we're all in the same boat. So, it's kind of in some way like kind of united everyone and to some degree, and everyone's coming into it from the same perspective. So in some ways, it's kind of brought us together in a weird way.
I remember, but when I was working in London, there's quite a number of times because I've always, for the last few years, I've been off-site only because obviously we moved up north, so it made it easier in preparation for that. And there was a number of studios saying, "Oh, you have to be on site." So I wonder if that's going to change after like post-COVID. If people are more susceptible to working off site, because at the end of the day, I don't think it makes that much difference really. But my question was going to be, how do you see the creative industry changing post-corona in your point of view?
I guess a couple of different answers to that question. I think that probably the most immediate one is that the coming recession is probably going to change it quite a lot there, and how much work there is.
True. Plus Brexit, we haven't even got negotiation trade deals yet. So there's that. Yeah. It's like a double whammy.
I mean, it's a multiple whammy. But that's going to change things a lot. I mean, I think that in terms of like working from home and people getting used to it, I think this has proven that people can. I don't think everyone prefers it. Like, I don't think everyone wants to work from home. But what it has probably opened up is that I don't see any reason why a studio couldn't be made up of
do anymore now.
50% of people that work from home and 50% of people that are kind of scattered around the world.
Actually, there's one thing on someone just mentioned on the YouTube. Pedro Ramos. I apologize if I butcher anybody's name.
Ramos, yeah, Pedro Ramos.
He says one of the biggest hurdles is data security. So that's kind of an interesting thing, especially when you've got, you know, you've got really sensitive data on like a project like surrounded by NDAs.
Yeah.
How to deal with that is going to be quite tricky.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've kind of seen it. We've heard things from, you know, our friends that work in the film industry, and where they're working on big kind of Disney or Marvel films or something, and you know, they're having to work from home, which is like, you know, people couldn't even have the internet in the room that you were working in, and now all of a sudden they're working from home. So it's going to change a lot of things. I think we're probably going to see some issues with data security. You know, we've already seen the Zoom issues. You know, we're chatting with Zoom right now, and everyone's kind of complaining about it.
When Tiago suggested it, I was a little bit apprehensive. So I was like,
But talk about the security as well is funny, because I think things may change a little bit. You know, like my sister working in financial is completely different, but her department in the bank was the only department needs to stay in the bank, because they don't not allowed to connect the server and everything from outside. And somehow the bank, they're creating a different approach, so they could use the computer connect to the mobile, you know, to be able to connect to the bank. Kind of in laws, they wouldn't allow to do that, but because the situation that changed, you know, I don't know, maybe
necessity, isn't it?
Yeah, necessity. I think maybe, I don't know, do you think that may change in the future, you know, like, because we can't stop, you know, we can't stop creating films and things like that if that happen again, you know, so people may need to change a little bit how we see the security with the data and everything.
I think like we're probably like big businesses probably aren't going to be able to change the way they think of it necessarily, in terms of like, you know, if Apple's bringing out a new watch or whatever, like they're probably going to want that pretty secret. But I think maybe what's going to change is how security works, you know, how encryption works. There'll hopefully be different ways of encrypting data between, you know, from a home server to, you know, an Amazon's server or something like that. I doubt people are going to say, you know what, NDAs don't matter anymore. I'll be quite doubtful about that.
No, that will never happen, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, especially big films.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So maybe we should shift from the depressing topic of COVID.
Yeah, let's talk about more positive side.
Yeah, let's go with actually, what are your top three industry peeves? Like, what annoys you? For me, it's like people who rate their ability in Photoshop or After Effects out of 10 on SNE, like stuff like that.
Or ask what software you use.
Yeah, exactly.
It's people who put themselves as CEO of their own name on LinkedIn. No. I mean, I'd say number one would be egos. You know, there's not really any point in bringing an ego to any project, which is kind of why, like, we, you know, the way that we work within Golden Wolf is kind of, you know, maybe a little bit more democratic than a lot of like the sort of director-based models, that we don't have directors as such. We have like creative directors and art directors and designers and animators, and everyone has a different role to play. And of course, there is a hierarchy, but it's a little bit more like everyone gets to have their say. But like, you know, really the main point is that, like, if there was one person who had the biggest ego and whatever they said went, then I don't think the environment would be very nice, and I don't think the work would be very good.
So it sounds like quite a collaborative. It's quite a collaborative environment from what I gather. However, who has the biggest ego in Golden Wolf?
Me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it kind of leads on to the next bit quite conveniently. But so when you're hiring staff or freelancers, like what do you look for in a person to make sure it will work out? I mean, it's kind of difficult because obviously someone's show role might not represent them as a person, kind of thing.
Right. I mean, 99% of the time it's the work itself. I think the interview, like most of the time, is just like a personality check, or like seeing how everyone gels. Or if you got 3 or 4 candidates that you just can't pick between, then the interview is a good way of kind of differentiating between people. But we're a visual business. We do animation. If you're an amazing animator and you're an amazing designer and you're not a dick, then we'll probably get you in.
True.
I'd say, yeah, we look at the work before we look at anything else.
What else was there?
Yeah,
Is there anything you want to add, Thiago?
Do you think, are you guys still hiring people in like at the moment with like all the coronavirus, and do you think that makes easier when everything just go like interviews
actually,
online?
To add to that, I mean, is it I guess with Corona, I guess is it more freelance or is it permanent staff as well? Because I guess because there's such an uncertainty, I guess it probably flips more to like freelance kind of side of things.
Right. I mean, we've just hired a few people, not during Corona, but kind of leading up to it. I would say like while things are up in the air, we probably won't hire anyone full time. We have a team that can kind of handle most things. So like, wherever we can do things in house, we will. But otherwise, it's freelancers that we use. Yeah, I would say right now it'd be tricky to hire people on a permanent basis just because we don't know what's going to go on next month or next week. Yeah.
If you got rid of one of the twins, people probably wouldn't realize.
That's true. The mirror instead, actually. Which twin would you choose?
Which one? Yeah. Which one you choose?
That's the question for you.
That was what's funny because that was a question James Pop should we ask Ingi?
Yeah, I totally should.
We had that conversation.
I would just get them to do a fight to the death. I think
that would be good.
Yeah.
Just put that in a pool full of hair gel and make the fight in bikini. That would be amazing.
That's your prerogative.
I'll make sure we stream that live. Cool, let's see.
Do you want to pick a question, Thiago?
Yeah. So I think that's quite good for you as being the creative director. On your point of view, what you think you guys do and how you think is work for you guys, to keep always fresh and keep you guys on top of the game as you guys are?
That's a good question. I think like we tend to be quite hard on ourselves. There's always little voices in the back of our heads. Normally the twins that will say, we've done this before, this is kind of shit. Or like, let's not, let's use different references for this one, or like, let's try something new. Also like what we like to do, a lot of the times we're doing social media projects or stuff for Instagram or like just stuff for ourselves. And we tend to try and do things that we've just never tried before. And it's nice when we're not even sure if it's going to work, or if we put it out thinking, oh God, this could be awful. But then, if we get good reaction, then brilliant. If we get bad reaction, we'll never do it again. But yeah, I'd say just like judging our own work and just trying to have an emphasis on trying new things, I think is the main thing.
Have you ever put something out that's got a completely different reaction to how you expected, either good or bad?
What's that?
Have you ever put something out that has got had an unexpected reaction, either good or bad, like just something that you didn't really expect to go that way?
Yeah. Well, so we did a music video for a guy called Stevie Aoki a few years ago. It's like house DJ or whatever he is. And we were like, this is it. This is the shit. Like, this is going to be like our next thing. Like, we were so sure we'd just kill it online, and it actually bombed. Like, it did so badly. We were genuinely surprised, but it was also like a really different thing for us. It wasn't really like our style or anything. But yeah, we put that out. We thought it would do really well, and it did terribly.
There's actually a related question. Imogen Goodman asks, have you ever had a big mistake that ended up being a blessing in disguise on a project?
That's a good question. Wow.
So I'm sure we've all had those kind of projects where it's like, well, I'll just leave that in there.
Yeah. If I remember one, I'll wow, that's a really good question.
We'll come back to that
right now.
What is your favorite project you guys ever done, and what is your worst nightmare?
I want to focus on the nightmare, to be honest.
Yeah.
Favorite project. I think probably like the favorite thing that I've been part of, and I mean, I wasn't really that big a part of it, but it was the DuckTales titles, just because like I grew up on that shit, and like knowing that like in 20 years time, like, you know, my kids, or, you know, if I ever have kids, will be watching and I'll be going, yeah, you know, my name's on that.
It's all about the theme tune though. It's all about the theme tune.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many good ones, like Mysterious Cities of Gold as well, like that kind of thing. That's amazing theme tunes from your childhood.
Yeah. The Nightmare one, like I definitely have one in mind, but I'd be pissing a lot of people off if I said what it was.
Maybe stop the streamer set, Thiago.
Yeah, I would say we did a project. It was very difficult. It was very difficult for everyone involved, and I think that definitely a couple of people in the studio were ready to leave at the end of it because it was so bad. Very taxing on everyone creatively and emotionally. So I think those who worked on it will know what I mean, but I won't.
Is that one, James, you work on? Remember?
Pardon?
You remember the one you complained about Golden Wolf when you worked there?
I complain about everybody. What are you on about? Oh, Kieran Mann asks, what 2D, 3D software do you use?
2D, 3D. Wow,
that's 5D. If you add it up.
Any that do all of them. 2D, we mostly work in TV Paint. But honestly, like, you know, as far as softwares that we use, like, it just depends on what most people are using at the time. I mean, if everyone comes out and says they animate in Illustrator, then we'll do that. It just depends on what most people are using and what the best people are using. 3D wise, we don't do a huge amount of 3D. 3D Studio Max we've used and a bit of Cinema, but yeah, mainly it's TV Paint in the studio.
I guess it's just whatever feels appropriate for the creative.
Absolutely. I mean, if someone's really good at MS Paint, we'll use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like people get, especially students, just get hung up about bloody software, and it's like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter. Creative is what counts.
I think like and I agree. I think I've heard that question a million times, and it gets really frustrating. But I will tell you a story. It's not a very good story or a very long story. But it was one Christmas I decided. This is before Golden Wolf, and I decided that I wanted to learn 3D, and I didn't ask anyone what software I was supposed to use, and I ended up teaching myself Lightwave.
Oh, no way!
And I was like, it's like a software with it's got like 2 different softwares. Like there's so much to learn. Like, and it's completely useless. And I think it got baked into XSI, which ended up getting killed.
It did.
So I wish I had asked someone what software I should use, because then I would have known, and I wouldn't have learned a useless software.
I remember having to use Lightwave at university and literally not used it since.
Yeah, it's true. One question for me, thinking about business wise, because it's always different. I don't know how it is or how it was for you, but like for me, before I start the studio was, a lot of people start with the mentality, I'm gonna have my own studio, I'm gonna do my own work, do whatever I want, until they realize it's a lot more to run a studio than just go and create your work. Come from there, if you think today, what would you tell to yourself like 20 years ago, or someone want to start a studio? What would be the advice you'd suggest or you'd give?
The advice in terms of how to set up a studio?
Not how to set up, but thing you learn through running Golden Wolf and you didn't think before. And
to make it a process.
Yeah, if you're gonna start all again now, with the knowledge now, what you'd say to yourself?
I think like if your ambition is to set up a studio with the ambition of like making lots of really cool work and wanting to be a big part of the process, then that's probably not the job for you. There's a lot of kind of paperwork and like money stuff and HR stuff and lots of issues to deal with, and you have to kind of for most people, they have to accept that they won't be part of the fun stuff all the time, and you won't be able to do the thing that you love the most, whether it's design or animation or whatever it might be. I think you definitely can, and it's definitely like, I'm not saying it's not fun and that it's not really rewarding, but I think people have to realize that there's a lot of other stuff to deal with other than the kind of the fun stuff and the creative stuff. yeah, I would just be realistic about that. I mean, I think a lot of people are cool with that, and a lot of people want that responsibility, and they want to build something, and then they're entrepreneurial, and they want to be part of something like that. But I think some people also would much rather just get to do the fun stuff and the thing that they're really passionate about. I've definitely seen people, not necessarily a golden morph or whatever, but I've seen people in the past that have really wanted more responsibility, but when they got it, they really just wanted to draw, or they wanted to animate. That was the thing that they were passionate about. So I think that's
sometimes you don't know until you get there, kind of thing.
What's that?
I guess sometimes you just don't really realize what you actually want until you get to that kind of situation. It's like, well, maybe I don't want that now.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably took me like 3 or 4 years just to be okay with the fact that I couldn't design anymore, or that I couldn't be part of drawing something, or being that intricate, like integrated into the process.
Yeah. Adam says your software bill sounds cheap AF.
Is that Adam Jones?
Yeah. Everyone just go Blender. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think Adam's just trying to sell his software.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, we need to speak to Adam about Cavalry, because it's pretty good fun. That's a freebie, that one.
Yeah. Everyone go download Cavalry.
Yeah. What else we got?
Let's take another question.
There were some good ones on the YouTube. Where was it? Oh yeah, what software do you use? Some of them we've already covered anyway. Like, what advice would you give a younger self starting out in the industry?
Let's pick something else.
And the bloody YouTube thing just keeps on picking out me, and I hate looking at me. It's like when Ingi was talking, it's just showing me, and like I'm not even the interesting one.
Yeah. So how you guys think is gonna end up? Just to your point of view of that Corona, do you think it's gonna be like, because we've been talking a lot out of here, like how made that shift to animation, like as people can't film much now, more clients will come with animation, and agents needs to find solutions to keep producing content for online or TV. Do you think that is going to happen? Are you seeing that shifting a little bit?
Definitely seeing more requests for animation work, that projects that used to be live action. I think the problem right now is that you're still dealing with clients, and I don't mean the agencies, I mean their clients, who aren't used to animation. So for someone, let's say it's Sainsbury's or wherever it might be, for them to want to create a live action advert featuring their stores, and then someone says that they've got to do animation instead, like a lot of the times that's a very hard pill to swallow for the client, and sometimes they just can't get over that hurdle, and maybe they'll use stock footage instead, or maybe an old ad. But I think in the short term, you'll definitely see more animation work and more projects turn into animation, for clients that are comfortable with that. I think more than anything, you look at like Netflix and Amazon and Disney Plus or whatever, like they're not making any films, they're not making any shows, like they're going to need content, and those people will probably be looking towards animation, like thinking what they can do, because in 12 months time there's going to be a big old hole in there.
Maybe now's the time to pitch a TV show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, you got Disney Plus now, Netflix, and Amazon. They're all commissioned. I think these guys are going to take over regular TV at some point easily. It's the future. It's garlic bread.
Yeah, they will to a degree, but I mean they won't fully. Like Spotify's not closed down radio yet. I think people still like being handed their content and have it curated.
Yeah, I always think that's one thing that's missing about Netflix, like just random content channels, so you don't have to think about things. But
that's true. I think Amazon has it.
Does it?
Channels, yeah.
Actually, one thing they all need to sort out is how to frigging navigate the bloody UI. It's ridiculous. Like trying to find something.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky.
It is. Okay, there's a nice question here from Alex Nelson saying, which other animation studios inspire you? Obviously, present company mitigated.
Very good question. I mean, like Buck is obviously like, you know, the OG.
Yeah, they're great, man.
Love what Buck are doing. I mean, yeah, everyone. I mean, Moth are doing great stuff. God, this is going to be one of the things where we don't mention someone and they can
Just mention
like
three. Just mention three.
Yeah, I mean, you know, PSYOP, obviously, you know, we're obviously very, very closely linked to them, and you know, but we've always been big fans. You know, they are, you know, they're pretty much the people that kind of made commercial animation happen.
Well, they're definitely the OGs. Like you know, Buck and PSYOP are like the OGs of like motion design and animation in this kind of styles anyway.
Yeah, I mean, PSYOP are the ones that basically made like Pixar level adverts the norm, and Buck are the ones that kind of came in and brought in like 2D cell animation, really, advertising.
Yeah, Roger, as you know well, Roger Lehman.
Yeah.
That's a good question. He asked how important is sound in your project. I think it's a good question.
Especially on show reels.
Yeah, especially
how important is it to have sound in your
how the sound is important, because there's just sometimes people just forget about it, you know, but I don't know, for me, like sound is 50% of the work, you know. But how important is for you?
Hey Thiago, have you got YouTube just stuck on me, because it literally hasn't tech changed for the past like 5-6 minutes.
It's working for me.
No, it's fine for me.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of questions here.
Anyway, yeah, like, hello.
Sorry.
Shout out to Roger. I mean, sound is super important. I mean, I think the one thing for us is, like I said, we don't always get to pick the sound. We don't always get to have a say in the sound. Like a lot of the times, it's the agency, and to some extent, like especially when it comes to licensing stuff, we're kind of happy that's the case, because it could become a little bit of a legal minefield. But I mean, you know, a lot of the times we need the sound before we even start something, you know, or the sound is, as you say, like easily 50% of what the final outcome is going to be. It's super important, and if we can, we you know, we want to be able to work in tandem with a musician and sound designer to really like make the best of a project.
Is there any like company or person you haven't worked with yet who you would like to work with as a studio? What are your goals? What are your dreams?
Well, I mean, like since I started doing animation, I've always wanted to do a car ad. When I started back in the sort of mid 2000s, like car ads were like the thing to do. Like they were it was
a showpiece, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like the biggest budgets. Like you had to, you know, the most amount of trust. It was like if you could get a car spot, it meant you were good. Like,
but they're always like super slick, but then they're all kind of very similar as well. I think you guys would suit, in my opinion, would suit someone like Tesla, where it's kind of like new age and kind of just, I don't know, like pushing boundaries a little bit. I think it'd be quite a good collaboration.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think Tesla do car ads. I mean,
I don't think Elon's watching anyway.
No. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're kind of, you know, it's also like one of the things that we've always been into is kind of making ads for things that really are really difficult to advertise. You know what I mean? Like, it's really easy to make Coca-Cola look cool, or it's really easy to make like MTV look cool, or whatever is cool at the time. But you know, try and make toothpaste cool. You know what I mean? Like if you make that, you've succeeded, right?
Or a fidget spinner after the fact.
Yeah, fidget spinner when it's really uncool. Like try and make that, you know what I mean? Like that would be so much more rewarding than doing like a really like advertising a really cool product that's already cool. But those types of things are nice as well. Yeah,
it's nice to have like a challenge, I reckon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, what are you bringing to the table, right?
Yeah,
it's true. Miguel had to ask a nice question, and he said, feel like the industry shifted to posting mostly on Instagram nowadays. How do you feel about
that? In terms of, well, I guess can't really ask the question back, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I I mean, we're rebuilding our website, but I don't think we've updated our website for like a year. As far as like how people use the internet these days and how information gets like transferred from one person to another, like most people just go on like Instagram, Twitter,
yeah.
maybe TikTok now. But whatever is the place where people go to the most, that's where people want to be posting their stuff.
Yeah.
Because like who goes on a website? Like I go on like 2 websites, like Reddit and the BBC. That's about it. Like I don't really like go on any other website.
What about RedTube? I'm pretty sure you go on RedTube.
No comment. But you know what I mean. There's only a handful of websites that you visit, whereas like you go on these apps like constantly. So I mean, Instagram is kind of the equivalent of having like all of your followers on your mailing list, right? It's like you can get in front of people every time you post something, every time you do something new, it goes in front of the right eyeballs. So that's why Instagram is important.
I mean, like stuff like mailing lists just have become completely redundant. Like it's all about Instagram and Facebook, obviously, because it interlinks. It's interesting to see how things are shifted.
Yeah. Do you guys use a lot Instagram to look for freelance or for permanent stuff?
Yeah. I mean, keep finding people on there, and like whenever there's a few of us that kind of that work with freelancers and work on like finding people, and like whenever we find someone on Instagram, we're sending each other links and getting in touch there as well. So that's a huge avenue for finding people for sure.
If you're a creative, is there any point in LinkedIn?
No.
I agree.
No, not really. I mean, I go on there because I have a need to like switch off all notifications that I've got. I just have to go.
I've got the same OCD.
And then I leave it. But yeah, no, I don't think LinkedIn's that important. But I mean, it is. No, I lie. It is.
I don't know. I need to disagree with you too.
Find people there.
I need to disagree with you too. I think LinkedIn being quite really good for business for years, for contacting people, especially like UK and US. People reply. We have more replies on a LinkedIn than if we send an email to clients. Like for new business. But I don't know what I see quite a lot. LinkedIn probably in the next year or 2 is going to turn annoying as a Facebook, because all freelancers is bombarding LinkedIn.
It's just full of spam.
Look at me. Yeah. So it's gonna change where in like business wise people gonna leave, and it's gonna be full of freelancers and people looking for work all the time. It's starting to be.
Yeah,
so,
I think people value genuine interactions, and I don't think that LinkedIn interaction is often very genuine.
How many times have you been contacted by someone on LinkedIn that's someone actually or someone has like a tangible link? Because I can't remember the last time.
Yeah, I don't think I get much, but I think as a studio, I think we got quite a lot of meetings through LinkedIn.
I think you're right from a studio perspective, for sure.
Yeah, but not as a freelancer or individual.
Yeah.
No. I think it's more as a studio perspective.
It feels to me like creative. As a creative, it's like word of mouth and that kind of side of things, and like you say, like Instagram and
Like
showing,
I think
showing
for creative it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think again, like I think anyone or most people are the same as me, in the sense that like they would rather kind of find someone organically, or find someone through friends, or like or find someone in a place where they're showcasing their work in a non-invasive way, whereas LinkedIn just kind of feels a little bit in your face, a little disingenuous, and that's not always the case, but that's why I find platforms like Twitter or Instagram, they work a lot better for me as far as just like finding talent.
Yeah. I think for finding talent, I completely agree. Yeah, it's quite hard to find on anything on LinkedIn anyway. Cool. So should we do one more question?
Yeah, sounds good.
James, you want to do?
I'm just reading through the YouTube.
Let's pick one last question from YouTube.
Let's have a look.
Is your YouTube update or?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool.
There's one that says from Alex Nelson saying, what's your favorite part of the filmmaking process?
Yeah, that's nice.
Favorite part of the filmmaking process? Probably the start of it, you know, like the concepting, like the writing and like coming up with styles and references and that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, for me personally, like I tend to be most involved in that part of it, and the pitching process and that stuff. And then other much more talented people take it.
You're like, I'm out, guys. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, yeah. So I mean, you know, other much more talented people take that on and go, okay, we'll look at your terrible ideas and we'll make them into something beautiful.
There's one I just thought of as well. Where is it? Actually, no. Yeah, actually, this kind of links into your illustration background, Ingi, where Suji Lee says, is it important to have like a distinct art style? I feel like as an animator, it's important to be adaptable, but people will find you based on your style, which is interesting because as an animator, you kind of cross a lot of different styles because that's just, you have to be adaptable.
Yep.
But if you're an illustrator, you have one style and you stick to that, and that's what sells you.
Yeah.
So do you think a distinct style is important for animation, I guess?
That's a really good question, and I feel like I might have the like opposite opinion of you for illustration as well. I guess like my view on it has always been that for anything that you do, you need to be adaptable. I think it's tricky to have like a really standout portfolio if like you don't have like a single direction. But I think like we've all seen, we've all seen like artists that were like really cool back in the 80s or 90s. They're possibly still doing the same style, and you know they might do like an illustration a month and whatever, but they will never get, they'll never get on a big project, or they'll never get on that much current stuff because they've not evolved their style. I think
it comes played out, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah, it can be. I think you need to be your direction needs to be strong enough for your client to find you and trust you. But as far as like having a really specific style, I think it can be really good in the short term, but in the long term, it might hurt you because people might have seen it and got on board with it or whatever it might be. So I think, being adaptable is really good. Being consistent is really good. Being able to be consistent is really good. But I don't think you have to have like a really narrow style. I don't think you have to do that unless it's something you think that you can carry for a few years.
Yeah, maybe not narrow, but maybe you've had like a common thread through all your illustration. There's something that's recognizable as you.
Well, I think that's a really good point. I think that's something that it took us a little while to figure out about Golden Wolf, because people would say like, oh, you can always tell us a Golden Wolf thing, and we're like, well, hang on a minute, we always try and make things look very different or whatever it might be. And I think that what's most important is the attitude, and the point of view. Like if you have an attitude towards something, or like if your point of view of the world is a certain thing, or whatever your politics are, or whether you like things like super happy or super negative or like dark or light or whatever it might be, if you have your own skew on things, then it almost doesn't matter how you draw it as long as that comes through. And I think that's what we'll gravitate towards.
It's just think it's kind of interesting with social media and that side, because if you do have like one distinct style in animation, I guess because the world moves so fast now, it changes so quick, so you might become out of style so quick.
Yep.
Last couple of years it's been like character illustration with like small heads, massive bodies and massive legs. But give that a year, I bet that's kind of like, oh, that's really dated now.
Yeah, I mean things move super fast, like really, really quickly now. So I think it's just, it's all about pushing for the next thing and just kind of trying to get ideas across more than it is to get styles across. I think every couple of years or every year you'll see a new style emerge. To people that are doing
jump on it.
Yeah, people that are doing the most interesting things with it, they're telling the best stories with it, they're doing the best transitions with it. Those are the people that you'll notice, and then they might switch to another style. But it's those key components that are important, not the style itself at the time.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we should probably wrap this up because it's been way longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think it was great.
It's been awesome, guys.
I think the length feels quite good as well.
I've run out of booze, so
Yeah. I think that's to learn the to the next.
I was kind of
games.
hoping that like Ingi's flat would be like the same paint scheme as the Golden Wolf studio, where it's split down the middle.
Like half and half like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next one. So I'm gonna move to a wine bottle. I think a bottle
You're gonna use a straw?
Just play straw then. Just to keep the bars running. But Ing, thank you very much, man. It was great chat with you, and thank you for the tips and the inspiration with you guys
Thanks
gave.
for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
And to be our guinea pig for the first one as well. We're gonna put the link after for the work and everything we talk as well, so you guys can check the Golden Wolf work, because we had a little technical issue in the beginning. We couldn't show the sound, or you guys couldn't.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out for the next one.
Yeah. We make sure we bring Roger next time earlier. Cool, but I think that's it.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for joining us on YouTube and what have you. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to the next one.
Yeah, we see you guys next Tuesday, and have a good night.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah. Let me stop everything here.